The anime begins with one of our protagonists named Akane, a 20-year-old college student waking up in a dizzy state, wondering whose voice she is hearing this early morning. She gets up, and on seeing a stranger in her room, she asks herself, what the hell is going on? As the boy approaches her, Akane starts to remember how yesterday she was drinking a lot of juice in the restaurant, where he was sitting in front of her. She further remembers his name is Yamada, a third-year high school student. Fearing she might have popped her cherry with a high schooler, she is in a panic. We go back a week ago, in an aroma-rich cafe, with a soothing song playing in the background. Akane is enjoying her coffee with her boyfriend, Takuma. But this happiness shortly ends, when Takuma confesses he likes someone else and wants to end their relationship. Akane is devastated. The scene shifts to her home, where she is sitting depressed on learning the girl Takuma dumped her for is actually an online friend he met in a video game. And the funny thing is, he has never even seen her. Momo, hearing this, can't help but find it hilarious. But she tells Akane to look at the positive side of this breakup. Takuma at least confessed what he truly felt and didn't date the girl behind her back. Momo has her part-time job, so she is leaving, but tells Akane to not stay dejected forever. After she leaves, Akane switches on her laptop and logs into the game that is called The Forest of Savior. She remembers how despite not having an interest in video games, she decided to play this, just so she could spend a little more time with him. She checks her friends list, and notices he has already unfriended her. Akane is really pissed. She takes out her anger at the weak monsters and uses all sorts of special attacks on them. But soon she notices a mage standing next to her. She checks his profile and realizes he is one of her guild members named Yamada. She starts a conversation by asking how he is doing. However, Yamada takes whole 2 minutes just to reply, "Hi." Akane asks him if he is here for hunting. But yet again, Yamada takes another 2 minutes to reply yes. Akane figures out that he is definitely an unsociable person. Yamada asks her if she is trying to find a rare item in this hunting ground. But Akane refuses and talks about how because she got dumped, she was taking out her frustrations on monsters. However, yet again, Yamada takes 2 whole minutes, only to reply, "Oh, is that so?" He asks her if she can let him have this hunting ground if she is not going for the rare item. Now Akane is really pissed. Seeing he has no interest in talking to her, she tells him to go to another hunting ground because she came here first. Yamada just replies, "Okay," and he leaves. Akane was hoping he would react a bit, but this made her even more angry. She realizes this is why she hates gamers. After calming down, she receives a notification of a 1-year anniversary event, going to be held 2 days later. Akane knows this is the place where Takuma will definitely come with his new girlfriend. Now it's up to her whether she wants to stay depressed, or use this chance to make him regret it. She tells Momo about her plan to max out her Riz, so that Takuma will regret what a beauty he has dumped. After buying new clothes, having a haircut and massage, she maxes out her charm and arrives at the event. She is kinda amazed to see so many people for a game that is only 1 year old. Soon after, she sees Takuma with his new girlfriend. She tries to call him, but ends up bumping into a person and falls down. Akane is feeling miserable over how stupid she looks. She wants to just disappear. Just then, a boy approaches her and returns her shoe. Akane is stunned to see how handsome he is. She apologizes for bumping into him and explains how she got dumped and how pathetic her life has become. But the boy replies, "Oh, is that so?" She once again apologizes for saying something so unnecessary. But when the boy just replies, "Okay," Akane feels as if she is having a conversation with Yamada. As he is walking away, she calls his name, and when he turns back, she realizes it's him. Just then, Takuma notices them. He is in disbelief and asks how is this even possible. Akane thinks he is talking about her, so she tries to flex her beauty. But in reality, Takuma is a big fan of Yamada. It's because Yamada is a famous professional FPS gamer. Akane, knowing Yamada is famous, comes up with an idea. She tells Takuma to not be so casual with her boyfriend. Takuma finally notices Akane is also here. He asks her why she came when she doesn't even like games. Akane says she is here with her new boyfriend. Yamada refuses he isn't, but then Akane begs him to just pretend for today only. She even bribes him with a code for a super rare power-up. Yamada takes the offer and starts pretending. On knowing they are dating, Takuma is devastated. Not because Akane has gotten a new boyfriend, but because Akane has gotten closer to Yamada before him. But Akane doesn't know this, and just seeing Takuma on his knees makes her feel as if she has won. However, the way Takuma is being comforted by his girlfriend made her realize even though she has won the battle, she lost the war. At the restaurant, while sitting depressed, Yamada asks if he can leave now. But Akane doesn't want him to leave. She asks why he can't give some company to a sad college girl. She wanted to flaunt her beauty today, but seeing how pretty the girl was, and how happy they were together, Akane wants to cry badly. She calms down a bit and asks Yamada what exactly Takuma meant when he called him a pro gamer. Yamada says it means he gets money for playing games. He has a team that takes part in competitive FPS games. However, Akane doesn't even know what FPS is. And Yamada doesn't even bother explaining to her. She asks him what year he is in. Knowing he is a third-year high school student, she advises him to not be this cold at such a young age or else he won't stay popular among girls. Yamada says he is not popular, nor he has a girlfriend. Akane is stunned. Because if such a handsome man doesn't have a girlfriend, she wonders who will have then. Yamada says he isn't interested in romance at all, or he says he doesn't understand women. That's why he plays games which are interesting to him. Hearing about the game again reminds Akane of Takuma. She goes to the restroom, where she notices how her newly bought clothes are dirty and even her leg is hurt. She now regrets going to the event. When she returns, she notices Yamada isn't there. It's not like she can blame him for leaving because she was forcing him to stay. And above all, she has to get used to being alone now. But then Yamada comes and sees her crying. He tells her to sit down and takes out the band-aids he just bought. After he puts it on, Akane asks why he went out of his way to buy it. Yamada says he was getting worried about seeing her injury, nothing more. Akane gets emotional and tells him to eat whatever he wants, it's her treat today. But she ends up drinking so much that the next she wakes up is in Yamada's home. Akane is in a panic and asks if they really did it. Yamada assures her nothing as such happened. He explains that after she passed out, he had two options whether to leave her on the street or take her to his home. Obviously, he couldn't choose the first option, so he chose the latter and carried her to his home. He also tells her she was so sad about her breakup that she tightly hugged him and started crying. And later, she even puked on her clothes. Akane is ashamed of herself. She asks how she can repay. Yamada tells her to just leave, it will be enough. But before she leaves, he tells her to pick up her washed clothes from the bathroom. After changing, Akane once again apologizes and leaves. She feels so pathetic and miserable that she wants to disappear. She arrives at her home, where she realizes her necklace is missing. She starts to panic and looks throughout her home but isn't able to find it. The necklace was the first present she received from Takuma. She doesn't want to lose that either and starts thinking where it could be. She wonders if it's at Yamada's apartment after he washed her clothes. She logs into the game to ask him, however he is offline. Akane is greeted by Ruri, the guild master. But because Akane is standing still and not responding, Ruri asks if everything is alright. Akane considers Ruri a very good friend. She tells her everything about what has happened since her breakup. Ruri calmly listens and comforts her. Soon after, Yamada comes online. Akane is trying to talk to him, but because he is busy chatting with Ruri, he isn't paying attention to her message. But luckily, he soon notices and replies he doesn't know about her necklace. Akane is now sad, wondering where it could be. She doesn't think it's at the restaurant because she remembers wearing it after coming from the restroom. On the other side, Yamada asks Ruri why their guild's storage is being filled with useless items. He always cleans it up, but someone just keeps filling it with low-level items. Ruri says the player might be doing it for goodwill. Akane is about to say it's her, but then Yamada asks who on their right mind would put such trash weapons that even the beginners wouldn't use after some time of gameplay. Ruri tells Yamada to not be this harsh. What if the player who kept it might read their conversation? Akane comes forward admitting it's her. Ruri tries to comfort her saying the items are not even that bad. But Yamada is blunt and tells her to immediately throw them away. He tells her to be more selective because there can only be limited storage. After logging out, Yamada steps on something and realizes it's Akane's necklace. On the other side, Akane is angry at Yamada. The next day at the college cafeteria, Akane shares everything with Momo about what has happened. Momo gets excited about knowing Akane spent a night with a hot gamer. She curiously asks if she did it with him. But on knowing nothing happened, she is a bit disappointed. Even now, Akane is still wondering what she is going to do about the necklace Takuma gave her. Momo asks her why she hasn't gotten over him. She scolds her for always scheduling things around him. She only started playing games just for him, and made him lunch boxes every single day. Momo tells Akane to forget him, or she'll get really upset with her. On the way home, Akane wonders what she should do when she reaches home. Earlier, she used to play games with Takuma, but now playing by herself is boring. And there is also Yamada, because of which she doesn't want to log in. Just then she sees two high school girls confessing their love to a boy. Akane remembers her high school time when she also confessed to her senior. She really misses those days, but as she is about to leave, she notices the boy is Yamada. Yamada tells them it has been over a minute and they have said nothing. He asks if they can carry this someday later. He has to clear a dungeon. As he is about to leave, Akane approaches him and asks how he can be rude to the girls who gathered their courage to confess their love. She tells him he should have at least listened to them till the very end. But strangely, Yamada now realizes the girls were actually confessing. Akane is stunned to see how unaware he is of people's emotions. Soon, Yamada remembers about the necklace and apologizes for it. But Akane now understands, even the god is saying that there is no way she can get back with Takuma. She bids him goodbye, however, Yamada stops her and gives his umbrella to her. Before leaving, he tells Akane she doesn't have to return this to him. The scene shifts at night. Akane is lying on her bed, still grieving about her breakup. Just then someone rings the doorbell. She opens it and receives a letter. Because her mother is converting Akane's room into a training room, she is sending all her stuff back. Akane is in a panic and calls Momo for help. But Momo with a pissed face tells her to toss all of them, especially the large teddy bear. Akane is too attached to things and has a hard time abandoning them. As for the last item, Momo asks what she wants to keep, the umbrella or her broken necklace. Akane remembers Yamada's words, how he told her to be more selective about what to keep. Akane decides to toss both of them, and chooses to keep the teddy bear her late grandma gave her. She is a bit depressed because she wanted to keep everything. So to cheer her up, Momo decides to treat her. At 10:30 p.m., at Yamada's home, he is deep asleep when someone keeps ringing his doorbell. He goes to check and it's Akane and Momo who are completely drunk. Akane returns the umbrella. Looking at his face, she asks why he seems so annoyed. Momo apologizes on Akane's behalf and asks Yamada if he would marry her. Yamada is pretty annoyed and tells them to leave or he'll call the cops. Akane tells him she wants to thank him. If she had been alone it would have been hard on her, but he really helped her by sticking with her. With this, she bids him the last goodbye, because likely they will never meet again. But before she leaves, Yamada tells Akane that Ruri is worried about her, and if she has some free time she would like her to play the game. Akane is happy to hear it. The following day, at the restaurant, Akane is on a group date after Momo sets it up for her. There is a guy hitting on her, but she is not at all interested and wants to go home badly. After enduring the date somehow, on the way home, Momo is angry at Akane for not taking these dates seriously. She warns her if she doesn't forget about Takuma, she will stay alone throughout her life. At home, after bathing, Akane grabs herself some juice, a packet of chips, and logs into the game. However, she notices there is no one in the guild room. She looks around and sees Yamada and Ruri together. But as she is about to write something, she reads their chats. Ruri reminisces about the days when both she and Yamada were all alone in this guild. There are more members now and she likes it, but she also misses those days when it was just them. Yamada does agree, as it's easier to talk to her than others. Ruri notices Akane and lets her join to have a chat. But Yamada is done making the item and before leaving, tells Ruri he'll call her later. Akane realizes how she has never seen Yamada talking to other guild members as much as he does with Ruri. She wonders if they are dating. But then she asks herself why she is even bothered by this. However, even the next day at college, she is still thinking about them. She is curious and wants to look at Yamada's social media page, but stops herself because it's almost as if she is stalking him. On her way home, the boy from yesterday's group date greets Akane. Akane doesn't remember his name, but after his requests, she walks to the station with him. Even on the way, she wonders what are these weird feelings she has been developing. But just then, she notices a girl with Yamada. Seeing this, an immediate thought comes to Akane, wondering if Yamada lied to her about not having a girlfriend. But then she again asks herself why she is worried about this in the first place. At her home, Akane receives a message from Ruri inviting her to have a meetup with other guild members. Akane has her suspicions that the girl she saw today might be Ruri herself. She doesn't want to go, but after Ruri keep on requesting her, she ends up agreeing. Finally, on Sunday, Akane wakes up. She gets ready, eats breakfast, dresses up and heads out. Even though at first she wasn't interested in coming, now she is looking forward to it. She tries using Google Maps to find the location, but despite it, has a hard time locating the cafe. Just then, someone bumps into her and she drops her phone. The boy picks up the phone and on looking at it, he smiles and asks Akane if he can guide her to the cafe. On her way, the boy talks about how he started playing Forest of Savior with his friend and even created a guild. He talks about how great this game is even with low graphics. Seeing him so excited about talking about the game, Akane wonders why he is telling her all this. He asks her opinion of the game, and Akane shares that she is new to this game. But because she has a nice guild master, with whom she can talk about anything, she is enjoying the game. Just then, the same girl from yesterday waves at them. Akane confirms she is Ruri. She looks around and also notices Yamada there. She goes to greet him, but then Ruri gets jealous. Akane apologizes to her and realizes she seems a little different from the game. While they all are sitting in the cafe, Akane is wondering who these two are. She tries to ask Ruri about it, but she says her name is not Ruri, it's Runa. Akane is confused. She wonders who Ruri is then. Runa asks Akane why in the first place she is sitting in their guild's meetup. She tells her to go away. Akane is getting uncomfortable, so Yamada tells Ahita to have a small introduction. Ahita apologizes for not doing it earlier and introduces himself as the player who plays Ruri. Akane is devastated. She wonders how this thing is even legal. She is furious and asks Ahita how he can do this, when she even shared all her personal things with him just because she thought Ruri was a girl. Ahita in his defense says all the things she shared were with Ruri, not him. Akane is too stunned to say anything else. Next, Kamota introduces himself and afterwards, Runa. We get to know that she is Ahita's younger sister, and the character Ruri is actually made after her. Throughout the time, Akane is trying to avoid eye contact with Runa because she is glaring at her non-stop. She is wondering if she made a mistake by coming here. But one thing that came good from this meetup is that earlier when she saw Yamada with Ruri, he was with a man, not a girl. She thought he lied about not having a girlfriend, but now she is glad that he didn't. But then, Runa asks Akane what does she means by that she is glad to know it. She bluntly asks if she is in love with Yamada. Ahita shuts Runa's mouth and apologizes on her behalf. But Akane does ask herself why she is so relieved to know that in the first place. What's this weird feeling she has whenever she sees Yamada? She is so lost in her thoughts that she accidentally drops her glass. She is about to pick it up, but Yamada stops her and tells her to let the staff pick it up as she might get hurt. Akane quickly pulls her hand away and starts blushing heavily. Yamada has to use the restroom, so he excuses himself. Soon after, Ihita also goes. After both of them leave, Runa is still staring at Akane, which is making her uncomfortable. Outside, Ihita asks Yamada why he lied about using the restroom. Yamada says Akane was giving a vibe as if she was telling him to go away from her sight. But Ihita says to him, it felt like she was embarrassed. Yamada is confused and asks why she would be embarrassed. But Ihita says it's something he has to figure out. Now, he is starting to get worried about him. He tells Yamada his indifference towards girls is not normal. If he keeps his clueless attitude, he won't be able to understand them. Hearing this, Yamada thinks back to the incident happened that is the main reason for his attitude towards women. By the time it's evening, the meetup comes to an end and they all part ways. Even now, Runa is looking at Akane with a pissed look. She doesn't like how clingy she is with the people close to her, and comes up with a plan to make her quit the game. At the train, since both Akane and Yamada's station is the same, they tag along, but there is an awkward silence. After a sudden turbulence, Yamada switches sides with Akane, so she is on the safer side. Soon, Akane notices how the girls are looking in her direction. She immediately realizes the reason is Yamada. Well, she does admit, he is indeed handsome. Even on the day she first met him, she was taken away by his beauty. Because of this, she thinks the feeling she has towards him is just an attraction, not love. She asks Yamada what he will eat for dinner, and when he says some pudding, Akane laughs. However, he actually buys it. Yamada doesn't cook and only eats from convenience stores. Akane doesn't want to pry into someone else's life, but she doesn't like how unhealthy his diet is. She tells him to wait for 10 minutes, while she goes to her apartment to quickly pack a nutritious dinner. She manages to arrive on time and gives some curry, frozen rice and salad. She tells Yamada to only eat the pudding after this. Just then, Akane receives a call from an unknown number. She picks it up and it's from Runa. Runa apologizes for today. She says she wants to hang out with her to clear out the misunderstanding. Akane is happy to hear it. Runa tells her the location and says they will meet on Saturday. With excitement, Akane tells it to Yamada. She is happy that she will be able to have a chance to get closer to her. When Yamada arrives home, he checks his schedule and sees he has to tutor Runa on Saturday. So he wonders if he heard it wrong. The scene shifts to Saturday. Yamada receives a call from Ihita asking if he is coming to their home for tutoring as per the schedule. Yamada says he will. On the other side, Akane has arrived at the location just like Runa told her. However, there is a stranger sitting in front of her. He is too called up by Runa, but through Ihita's gaming account. This means he is here to meet Ruri, and believes Akane is the one who plays the character. Even though Akane has told him multiple times she is not who he thinks she is. However, the man isn't listening and instead talks about how his dream came true by meeting her. Just then, Akane receives a message from Runa saying she will not be able to join today, so she has sent one of her online friends. Akane is freaking out. She immediately goes to the restroom and tries calling her. On the other side, Yamada arrives at Ihita's home. He is greeted by their mother and taken to Runa's room. Before starting the session, he asks Runa if she is not forgetting about something. Runa says there is nothing. Yamada believes he definitely misheard Akane about the day she was planning to meet Runa. As he is about to start the session, just then Runa receives a call from Akane. Yamada finally suspects something is fishy going on. On the other side, Akane is sitting wondering what she should do about the stranger. But just then, the man starts knocking on the door. Because Akane is taking so much time, he is asking if everything is okay. Akane is freaking out to see he has no hesitation upon entering the ladies' restroom. She tells him she has a stomachache. But he doesn't listen and starts forcing himself in. Back in Runa's home, she confesses what she did to Akane. But she assures Yamada that he doesn't have to worry because she sent a gamer friend in her stead. Yamada asks who it is, and on knowing it's the one who is an obsessed fan of Ahita's character, he starts to have bad feelings about this. He decides to go to Akane's location, but Runa doesn't want him to go. Just then, Ahita comes and is told about the situation. He checks his computer and sees Runa used his account to send the guy the message. While he is figuring out the location, Runa is looking at her pictures with everyone and wonders why things can't stay as they are. Just then, Kamota arrives. He is panicking and asks if it's true Akane has been kidnapped by a creep. Ahita realizes he did over-exaggerate a little bit. They quickly get in the car and head to the location. In it, Ahita is quite angry and tells Runa to apologize to Akane when they meet her. But Runa refuses. Ahita tells her that because of her possessive nature, she doesn't have any friends in her school. Akane only wanted to be her friend, but she did this to her. Upon arriving at the location, they soon find her. Yamada notices how sad Akane is looking. As he is about to go, Kamota runs to her and says he will take the matter from here. He threatens the man about sending him to prison for kidnapping. Akane is surprised to see all of them here. Yamada notices her leg hurt and asks what happened. The guy replies that he is responsible for it when he went to the ladies' restroom. Ahita gets angry and asks him to give more details. The guy explains that after finding out Akane had a stomachache, he went to buy the medicine. But when he suddenly gave it to her, she freaked out and hit her leg. Ahita is still pissed and asks why in the first place he entered a ladies' restroom. While he is interrogating him, Akane asks Yamada how they found out she was here. He tells her that today he had to tutor Runa. It was then he found out what prank she had pulled on her. Akane, on hearing this, looks at Runa. However, she starts to run away. Akane tries to stop her, but ends up hitting the same place as earlier. Seeing how much in pain Akane is, Runa returns and starts worrying about her injury. Now that Akane is safe, Ahita tells Runa it's time for her to get a lecture. Runa asks Yamada to help, but he tells her what she did today was a dangerous prank. As Ahita takes away Runa, Akane stops them and says her stomach is hurting. She tells them to bring her some medicine. The guy says he has already one, but Akane tells him to shut up and says she wants a different one. She sends all of them to go get it, and let Runa stay to give her company. Runa fears she is going to be yelled at, but to her surprise, Akane asks what level she is in the game. Runa says she has 2 max-out characters. Akane is a bit sad to hear it, because they cannot go on hunting together. Earlier when she asked Yamada to accompany her, he told her because their difference in level so much he would receive an XP penalty. Runa says it doesn't matter to her. But she is still confused as to why Akane is not angry with her after what she did to her. Akane says she doesn't mind it. All matters to her was to see how worried she got when she saw her in pain. Akane tells Runa she wants to get along with her. She can see how much she cherishes those around her, and that's why today she wanted to ask her permission to let her join her circle. Runa gets emotional and apologizes for being a mean girl. She promises that from now on she will be a good girl. As others return with the medicine, they are glad to see how both of them have makeup. Seeing Akane's smile, Yamada feels something strange. Now that both Runa and Akane are getting along, they have started spending a lot of time together. Runa enjoys her time with Akane and considers her an older sister. But because of her nature to be possessive, she now hates Momo and doesn't like her spending time in Akane's home. However, today Momo is depressed because even after going on numerous group dates, she hasn't found her love. According to her calculations, she planned to marry as soon as her college was over. However, let alone a boyfriend, she doesn't even love anyone. And seeing Akane is busy enjoying her game instead of listening to her tragic life story, pisses her off. She asks Akane if anything happened between her and Yamada. Akane says there is no such thing between them. But one thing is that they have gotten a lot closer since before. Just then, Yamada comes online. Akane with excitement shows off her new boots with intelligence attributes just like his. However, Yamada with a disappointed look says he is a mage, that's why he needs it. As for a paladin, she needs vitality. Seeing Akane depressed, he asks if she wants him to give her the boots he received as a reward. But Akane refuses, saying she will go on hunting and will get herself new. Hearing this, Yamada wishes her good luck. Akane is amazed to see for the very first time he has sent a smiley emoji. Seeing her so happy and enjoying the game, Momo tells Akane to go out with her on a group date and help her in getting a hubby. Akane agrees, but as she is about to log out, her laptop breaks. An hour later, Ihita is told about the situation. He can understand because the recent update was too heavy for small computers. Runa expresses how sad Akane got. Because to play again, she has to save up enough money for a new one. Hearing this, Ihita comes up with a solution. The following day at Akane's home, someone rings the doorbell. She goes to check and on seeing it's Yamada, she is surprised. Yesterday, after Ihita was told about the situation, he called Yamada and requested him to repair Akane's laptop. At first, Yamada didn't want it to go and told Ihita to go because he was better at these things. But when Ihita told him how sad Akane had become, Yamada started to imagine her sad face and remembered how excited she was to go on hunting again. So in the end he agreed. Before starting the repair, Yamada tells Akane to keep her expectations low. While he is working, Runa asks Akane if it's safe to let her undergarments in open. Akane freaks out and in an instant grabs them. Upon bringing some juice and cookies, Yamada remembers something and tells Akane that the curry she gave him was very tasty. Akane is happy to hear it. Seeing them together, Runa wants to see them as a couple badly. She takes a photo and sends it to Ihita, quoting, "How cute they look together." Ihita likes it and instructs Runa to make sure they get even closer. Runa uses her brain and tries to come up with ideas. While Akane is making the lunch, Runa asks her if she would like to take a bath. But when she refuses, Runa gets depressed. She asks for a piece of bread, and then stuffs it into her mouth. But when Akane eats it, Runa says she wasn't supposed to eat it. She just takes Akane and throws her towards Yamada. Akane gets a little angry, but as she gets up, her hair ends up hitting Yamada's eyes. She is in worry and tries to look at it. But upon seeing her so close, Yamada feels something strange and says he is fine. He stands up and goes to bring the tools he needs for the repair. Outside, Yamada's heart is beating heavily. We go into his past, when there used to be a girl in his class who was heavily bullied by others for being ugly. But she was able to endure this criticism because Yamada was with her. However, one day when she asked him if he would stay forever by her side, he bluntly told her he won't. Back in the present, Yamada buys the stuff from the convenience store and is about to leave, when the cashier asks him if he would like to talk for a little bit. But Yamada refuses, saying he is a bit busy. He asks himself why she looks so sad. What is there he can talk to a convenience store lady? These women's emotions are not something he can understand and thinks it's better to stay away from them. Upon returning back, he sees Akane had made the lunch for him and is taking an afternoon nap with Runa. Without making a lot of noise, he starts repairing the laptop. But then he looks at Akane, sleeping with her hair tied up. He comes closer to her and removes the clip. While looking at her, he is trying to understand what are these emotions he has been feeling lately. Just then, someone rings the doorbell. He goes to check and realizes it's the same person from the event. Takuma freaks out and asks what he is doing here. He asks Yamada if he's really dating Akane. At the event, he could see she was trying to get back at him, so he thought she must be lying, but this is a surprise. As for why he came today, he returns the lunch boxes Akane had made for him. He knows she probably doesn't want to look at his face, so he requests Yamada to give it to her, without telling her he came here. As he leaves, he tells Yamada he will be cheering his team for the upcoming tournament. After Takuma leaves, Akane comes. Yamada gives her the lunch boxes and says they just appeared. Obviously, the moment Akane sees them, she realizes what happened, but starts laughing and tells Yamada to next time make a better lie. As they enter the home, he returns her clip. Akane apologizes as it must have fallen off while she was sleeping, but Yamada tells her he is the one who took it off. Akane is confused. She asks him why, and Yamada replies for some reason he felt like doing it. Just then he receives a call from Ahita. And while he is talking with him, Akane is wondering what's going on. An hour later, Yamada has fixed her laptop. He has added an external GPU, doubled her RAM, and also replaced her hard drive with an SSD. Akane doesn't understand what these things are, but thanks Yamada for his help. Later in the evening, she gives her part-time interview and gets selected at the convenience store. She shares with Momo about it, and when asked why she decided to work, Akane says it's because the parts that are used in her laptop are expensive. Even though Ahita and Yamada have told her not to pay, she wants to at least cover half of the expense. At home when she arrives, she logs into the game and meets up with Ruri. Now that Akane knows that the character is Ahita, it kinda messes up her imagination. Shortly after, for the very first time, she meets Kamota's character. It's so tiny that Akane is having difficulty in spotting him. Just then, Akane remembers something and asks Ahita the total expenses incurred in the repair. But Ahita doesn't tell her, and says it's a secret. Akane insists on paying at least half the expenses, so instead of that, Ahita comes up with a different way she can pay them back. The scene shifts to Yamada's school. As usual, girls can't take their eyes off him, especially the first-year ones. After taking care of the trash, one of the girls from his class tells him about his phone ringing. He goes there and notices there is a towel beneath his phone. The class president, Tsubaki, says it was vibrating and causing a lot of noise, that's why she put it. Yamada apologizes to her and returns the towel. She tells Yamada she watched his live stream yesterday and noticed his aim has become sloppy. She asks if is it because he is spending too much time playing fantasy games. Yamada apologizes and promises he will give his best in the next game. He checks his phone, in which Ahita informs him about everyone from the guild coming to attend his cultural festival. The following day, Akane meets up with Runa and Kamota at Yamada's school. Soon, Ahita also comes, who is super hyped up because of his obsession with cultural festivals. Today's sponsor is Akane, who is going to pay for everything anyone eats and buys here. She encourages Runa to eat whatever she wants, but she is nervous. It's because next year Runa is going to attend this high school. Akane comforts her and says everything will be fine. While Kamota and Ahita are busy in a haunted house, both Akane and Runa go to enjoy something else. However, Runa's stomach starts to hurt because she is nervous. So while she goes to the restroom, Akane is waiting outside. She wonders if Yamada would be able to spare some time to hang out with them. She tries to ask him, but then stops because then it would seem like she is interested in seeing him. But shortly after, she notices he is in the class in front of her. She tries to call him, but sees he seems busy and decides to not bother him. Even after several minutes, when Runa doesn't come, Akane starts to wonder if she should go inside. But just then, Yamada comes. Akane is surprised to see him. She asks if he saw her earlier. Yamada says he did, but asks her why she is alone. While Akane is explaining what happened, Tsubaki is looking at them. The scene shifts to the nurse's office, where Runa has a checkup and is assured there is nothing serious, it's just that she needs some rest. Yamada is about to inform Ahita about this, but Runa requests him to not do this, or he'll send her back home. She expresses she hasn't eaten anything since morning, all because she wanted to eat a lot of things here. Akane suggests Runa to rest here, while she goes out to bring whatever she wants. Runa agrees and gives a list of all the things she wants to try. Since Akane isn't familiar with the school, Yamada volunteers to be her guide. However, as they start walking together, every girl starts gossiping and wondering who is the girl next to him. Akane fears for her dear life, and starts walking in front just in case someone stabs her from behind. Just then, Yamada accidentally bumps into his sports teacher. He quickly apologizes, but the teacher expresses how glad he is to know Yamada is finally going to represent their school in the beauty pageant. And on seeing him with a girl, he is proud of him that finally he has gotten a girlfriend. The teacher asks Akane from which school is she. But the moment Akane says she is a third-year university student, every girl starts to freak out. The teacher is proud of Yamada, however, the girls aren't. They gather their courage to ask him why he is dating a college girl. Several minutes later, Yamada and Akane are finally free, but she is exhausted after she had to clear the misunderstanding. Shortly after, Ihita and Kamota join. Akane shares with Ihita what happened. Ihita can understand this because last year a similar thing happened with Runa. But he asks Akane, if she is so worried about it, why doesn't she just date Yamada? Akane starts to blush. When asked Yamada, he says he doesn't mind. But on seeing Akane is totally freaking out, Ihita tells her it was just a joke. Akane, on seeing Yamada's plain face, realizes he was also a part of this. She gets embarrassed and tells both of them she hates them. Ihita feels bad. As he is about to go after her to apologize, without wasting any time, Yamada goes. On the way, Akane is scolding herself for not handling the situation more maturely. Because she is lost in her thoughts, she ends up bumping into Tsubaki. Tsubaki tells her to not run in the hall, but upon seeing Yamada, Akane again runs away. Tsubaki asks Yamada if she is with him, but he ignores her and goes after Akane. He tells her to not run, or it will be dangerous. Akane is surprised, because for the first time he has called her name. Yamada refuses it's not possible. But Akane says it is. She was convinced he didn't even know her name. Soon they get surrounded by girls, so Akane takes Yamada to somewhere deserted. Yamada apologizes. He had no intention of teasing her, and just went along with Ihita's joke. Akane says it's fine, she isn't mad. Yamada is confused, because a few minutes ago she was mad. He wonders if he was mistaken about it. Akane says she wasn't mad, just got embarrassed. Yamada doesn't know what part made her embarrassed, but knowing she isn't mad, he is happy. As he is about to leave, she asks him, what if she had taken the joke seriously, and said yes, would he then have agreed to date her? Yamada takes his time to reply. But as he is about to say, Akane stops him and says she is just joking. She walks away asking herself what's wrong with her today. However, Yamada still replies. He says that it would be an honor for someone like him to date a gorgeous woman like her. Akane is just speechless because this was so unexpected. She never knew Yamada had this image of her. Afterwards, just like promised, Akane brings whatever Runa wanted. And with this, the cultural festival ends. The scene shifts to a week later. Akane is doing her work at the convenience store and the customer is Yamada. It's not because he wanted to come, it's because she forced him. She tells him to wait outside while she finishes her shift. Akane's coworker, on seeing such a handsome man, asks if they are dating. Akane denies it and tells her he has trouble understanding women's emotions. The coworker is a bit sad to hear it, but can see how much Akane likes him. After all, she was so eager to not let him leave. Akane refuses it's not the case at all. It's just that they have gotten a lot closer and a lot more open to each other. After finishing her shift, she meets up with Yamada and hands him dinner as a thanks for repairing her laptop. She suddenly sneezes and tries to get her mask. But as the bike is about to hit her, Yamada safely pulls her towards him. He tells her to take care of her cold, so it doesn't get worse. Akane heavily blushes. At home, she tells Momo that if a boy is handsome while being kind, it's a very terrifying situation. Whenever they lower their guard, it almost feels as if they have feelings for you. But in reality, it's a delusion, and that's not the guy's intention at all. Because even though Yamada said he considers her out of his league, he doesn't see her in a romantic way. Momo is kinda disappointed. She says if a boy had said this to her, she wouldn't have wasted a chance to ask him on a date, irrespective of whether he sees her in a romantic way or not. Just then, Akane receives a call from Runa, who wants to immediately meet up. Upon arriving at the park, Runa is in a panic because a new guild member is joining, and it's a woman. She hates dealing with women because they always take away what's important to her. Akane calms her down and tells her to not be this hostile. Just like she got along with her, she can do with the new member as well. Runa says this is the exact thing her brother said. It's also because the member is Yamada's friend who plays FPS games. She tried asking Yamada about her, but he wouldn't tell her. Akane finds it a bit strange to see out of all people, it's Yamada who has invited a girl. Runa gives Yamada's number to Akane and insists her to call him to find out about the girl. The scene shifts to the cram school, where Tsubaki joins Yamada and Okamoto. We get to know she is the new guild member. Tsubaki doesn't like hanging out with girls because all they talk about is love and romance. For her, it's better to immerse yourself in gaming. Just then, Yamada receives a call from an unknown number. He doesn't pick it up, but Okamoto says it's definitely from a girl who is trying to hit on him. After class on their way, he again receives the call and decides to pick it up. On knowing it's Akane, he is surprised and asks how she got the number. Akane explains it's Runa who gave her after she got scared of the new guild member. She tells him she just wanted to tell him it's her number, that's all. Yamada asks if her cold is better. Akane says she still has, but for now, she has to go back to the convenience store to cover her coworker's shift. After hanging up, Tsubaki asks if it's the same girl from the cultural festival. Yamada tells her she is, and also that she is in the same guild as them. Tsubaki asks how she is as a person, and all Yamada can think of is Akane's silly faces. But then remembers her different one as well. So he says he doesn't really know. On the other side, angry Akane arrives. The owner apologizes for calling her so suddenly, but he promises he will treat her with dinner. In her locker room, she looks at her phone and is kinda happy to see Yamada's name on her contacts. At night, at Ahita's home, Runa receives a call from Akane saying she won't be able to play today because of her fever. After hanging up, Runa tells Yamada how Akane was sounding as if she was on verge of death. In Akane's home, she is having a hard time standing. She tries drinking some water, but cannot because her throat hurts. She has neither eaten anything nor does she have medicine. And her luck is so bad, Momo isn't even picking her phone. But things need to be done, and she has to get herself some medicine and food. She goes to get her bike, however, she ends up falling. She isn't able to stand properly because her fever is just too much. She tries to pick up the cycles, however she doesn't have the strength. As they are about to fall on her, Yamada comes to her rescue. Akane, who is in a dizzy state, wonders if the person in front is really Yamada or if she is dreaming about him. Because if the latter is true, she really feels bad for having such a self-serving dream. On the other side, Tsubaki is trying to reach Yamada, but he isn't picking up. Okamoto teases her by saying Yamada is probably with the girl from yesterday. But seeing her worrying just over this, he asks Tsubaki why doesn't she get her act together and confess her feelings already. Tsubaki knows Yamada doesn't understand women's feelings, and fears she might get hurt someday. We go back to the past when Tsubaki and Yamada were first-year students. Their first conversation was about her accusing him of cheating in an online FPS game. Tsubaki believed yesterday the player who was against her at 10 p.m. was Yamada. And the accuracy was too good to be true. Obviously, Yamada didn't cheat, but Tsubaki wanted proof, so he had no other choice but to take her home to demonstrate his skills. Tsubaki was completely stunned when she witnessed it. Yamada's aim was so good that she insisted on him becoming a professional. In return, Yamada just smiled. That was the first day she met him. Tsubaki's first impression of Yamada was just like anyone in the class. For someone with such good looks, Yamada was a quiet person who loved solitude. He did speak bluntly but is a kind person. In the second year, because Yamada was so handsome and yet had no girlfriend, rumors started to spread. Tsubaki told him how others think he is into men, but Yamada replied he doesn't care what others say. She asked him if he had a first crush, and he shared a story. Years ago, there was a girl who liked him. Everyone bullied her for being ugly, and when she stopped coming to school, he was the one to deliver the notes to her. Even when she came to school, without him there, she felt miserable. So he tried his best to stay as close to her as possible. However, one day she confessed she wanted to grow up and live with him forever. But he told her, it's not possible. Yamada stayed by her side and delivered the notes not because he liked her, it was only because the teacher told him. And as the bullying continued, she eventually transferred. Even now, he sometimes remembers her. Because the last time they spoke he made her cry, so he often wonders what might have been the right answer. But the truth is, he hasn't found it yet. And ever since then, he has never been comfortable around girls. Tsubaki, when heard this, only thought to herself what a pain he is. She told herself it would be better if she doesn't fall for this guy. Because if she did, then she would definitely be hurt someday. Back in the present, Yamada arrives with some medicine and food. He lifts Akane's head and gives her water, but she is having a hard time drinking it. Yamada soon realizes her fever is too bad, so he decides to take her to the hospital. While carrying her, he gets in the taxi and arrives at the hospital where Akane gets her IV drip. Several hours later, the scene shifts back to home, where Akane wakes up. She only remembers herself falling and realizes she hadn't brought the food. But as she is about to leave, she notices Yamada next to her. She opens the window to let the light come in and realizes it's not a dream. Yamada tells her to go back to bed and explains her everything. Akane is grateful to see he came to help her, even though he could have gotten her cold. She wonders why he is so kind towards someone like her. But she is so happy that she gets emotional and thanks him for saving her life. After Akane starts to feel a little better, she has some yogurt. She realizes if it was some other guy who had saved her, she definitely would have panicked. She asks herself why she feels so safe and secure next to him. But suddenly she gets a cramp. Yamada tells her to stretch her leg, but when she doesn't listen, he gets on the bed and grabs her leg. The pain is incredible and Akane is throwing legs at him. While dodging her lethal kicks, Yamada stretches it and fixes it. After some time, when Akane's fever is much better, Yamada decides to leave. She doesn't want him to go, but isn't able to say it. So subconsciously she grabs his jacket, but starts freaking out on realizing what she did. Yamada is very confused. Before leaving, he tells her to take care of herself. It's 6 a.m. in the morning. Momo comes in with all the stuff to stock up Akane's refrigerator. She apologizes for not being next to her when Akane needed her the most. But when she gets to know Yamada came last night, she freaks out and asks if they are dating. Akane refuses they aren't dating, it's just that he is a nice guy. While she goes to bring the money, Momo wonders if a man would do this much for a woman he isn't in love with. Before leaving, she tells Akane to call her if she needs anything. For breakfast, Akane makes some rice porridge and later does some college work. After studying enough, she logs into the game, where she meets up with Ahita and Tsubaki. With enthusiasm, Akane greets both of them. Since Tsubaki is just starting out, Ahita takes them on a small hunting mission. He tells them to take on the boss while he stays behind and observes their gameplay. Only after a minute, Akane and Tsubaki start having a hard time. She asks Ahita's help, but he refuses because if he uses his power, he will one-shot the boss. So instead of that, he is using his abilities to heal both of them. Akane and Tsubaki go on berserk mode. However, because the boss's HP regeneration is high, their attacks are ineffective. So together they start coming up with solutions to take down the boss. Ahita is glad to see they are getting along. The scene shifts at night. Yamada receives a call from Akane, asking how to defeat the boss named Demetal. Yamada realizes she is talking about random spawning bosses. Akane asks him to give her a hint because Ahita won't tell her anything. Yamada suggests her to use a status buff against it, as well as combos to maximize the attack. He tells her other things and Akane makes sure to write them down. An hour later, when it's done, Yamada asks if this was the only reason she called him. But Akane says she also wanted to hear his voice. She immediately hangs up, and her hands start to tremble because of what she said. She calls Momo and tells her there is something she needs to confess. Tomorrow, she meets Momo at a cafe. There Akane asks her why she got dumped. Momo is disappointed to hear this. Yesterday when Akane called her, Momo thought it would be something interesting, but hearing she hasn't moved on, now she regrets coming here. Akane assures Momo she has forgotten Takuma. It's just that she needs to understand the reason he dumped her, so she can fix her mistake before falling in love again. Just then, two boys enter the cafe. On seeing Momo, they sit next to her and ask her why she suddenly left yesterday's group date. Momo tells them she had some work to do, that's why. She apologizes to Akane and says she will do something about this quickly. The boys try to get closer, which is making both Akane and Momo uncomfortable. Just then, the waiter comes and asks if there is any problem. Akane can't believe it's Ahita. Upon looking at Akane's gaze, he understands what he has to do. With an intimidating look, he tells both of them to move to a different table. The guys have no other choice but to leave. Momo is blushing. She apologizes for causing trouble, but Ahita says it's fine. As he walks away, Momo asks Akane who was that good-looking guy. Akane tells her he is the guild master in the game she plays. Momo finally realizes what she has been doing wrong all this time. Instead of attending group dates, she has to start playing fantasy games. After Ahita's shift is over, Akane approaches him and says there is something important she needs to talk to him about. They go to a park, where Akane decides to confess what she has been feeling lately. But even after 10 minutes, when she doesn't say anything, Momo tells Ahita that Akane has fallen in love with Yamada. Whenever Akane was in trouble, it was Ahita and Momo who listened to her and comforted her. That's why today, Akane wanted to share this with both of them. Ahita says Yamada is a good guy. Most people praise him for his looks, but more than that, he is a kind person. Ahita advises Akane to be straightforward with him, that way she will be able to convey her message much better. And Momo tells her she must confess today only. Akane decides she will. After she leaves, Momo proposes to Ahita, asking if he would like to become her husband. She promises she will cherish him. Ahita is too stunned to say anything. Akane, on her way, can't help but wonder if Yamada will accept her or not. She is indeed nervous, but she is ready to accept the worst. She rings his doorbell, and soon Yamada comes out. In a surprised tone, he asks her what she is doing here. But as Akane is about to say something, outside 2 old people are talking so loud that she isn't able to say it. Yamada has to leave for his cramped school, so he tells her to say whatever she wants to on the way. Akane apologizes for not considering his time schedule. She says she will come back later, but Yamada closes the door along with her and tells her to wait while he gets ready. While he is changing, Akane starts to blush. Afterwards, on the way, Akane wonders if confessing in the street is the right time to confess to someone. She wonders if she should do it next time. She is so lost in her thoughts that she is about to be run over by a car, but Yamada saves her. As she is about to apologize for being careless, Yamada holds her hand and crosses the road. Upon arriving at the station, Yamada tells Akane he'll call her after his class is over. So if by then she remembers what she wanted to say, he'll listen to her. Akane asks if he would not be tired, but Yamada doesn't mind. Akane is happy to hear it and bids him goodbye. As it starts to rain, an hour later, Yamada's class also comes to an end. Most of the students didn't thought it would rain, and as expected, only a few students brought umbrellas. Okamoto is going to share Yamada's umbrella. However, on seeing Tsubaki hasn't bought it either, he decides not to go and instead insists her to share the umbrella. Tsubaki refuses at first, but then Okamoto tells her this is a great chance for her to get close to Yamada. Tsubaki agrees and walks home with Yamada. On the way, she shares her experience with the game and the guild members. However, Yamada seems to be lost in his thoughts. She asks if there is anything troubling him, but Yamada says there is nothing. He gives his umbrella to her because the station is just after this bridge. Tsubaki wants to tell him something, but he is too far to hear her. So she goes after him and tells him to wait. However, she ends up bumping into someone and loses her glasses. Her vision is poor, and she isn't able to spot them. Just then, Yamada comes holding her broken glasses. Surprisingly, Tsubaki confesses her love. She is emotional and apologizes for putting him on the spot. But for at least today, she wants him to think only about her. Even if it's for just one day. On the other side, Akane receives a message from Yamada saying he won't be able to talk today. The following day at Runa's house, while Yamada is tutoring her, Ehita enters the room. He asks Yamada if someone confessed to him yesterday. Yamada is surprised and asks how he knows it. Ehita can't believe Akane really did confess. He asks Yamada what he is planning to do. Yamada says he is still thinking. Ehita suggests him to give his answer quickly, or it would seem he is just toying with her feelings. The scene shifts to the convenience store, where Yamada is waiting outside. Akane comes out and asks what happened. Yamada apologizes to her for not being able to talk yesterday, but Akane says it's fine, it was not that important. But more importantly, she asks him why he seems down. Yamada says it's just that lately there are too many things going on with his life. Akane thinks maybe it's because of the exam. She changes the topic and talks about the new sword she got. Yamada asks what its rank and type is, but Akane doesn't know it. So she grabs his hand and draws it. She tells him if there is anything troubling him, he can share it with her. She doesn't like him being down and wants him to go back to being the mysterious Yamada he was before. Yamada is surprised knowing Akane thinks of him as being mysterious, because to him, he feels as if he is a nobody. He doesn't say much because he fears he might hurt others just like he did in the past. A lot of time he doesn't get the jokes, or the emotions the other is going through. Akane says she likes this part of him. How despite not understanding others' feelings he tries to be kind towards others. So he doesn't have to feel down about this, and tells him he is a fun guy to be with. At night, Tsubaki is standing alone when Yamada comes to give his response. She knows she is getting rejected, but still wants to confess everything she has been hiding all these years. She asks him if he will listen to what she has to say. Yamada replies he will. Tsubaki says that since their first year she has liked him. She really likes the way he plays games and the way he stays calm even in intense situations. She also likes the way he looks outside the window spaced out. She likes his voice too, because it calms her down. She likes the way he walks and the way he talks. She also likes how he doesn't show off his good looks, and how kind he is to everyone. Over the last 3 years, out of all the girls who have fallen in love with him, she knows she is the one who has loved him the most. Tsubaki cannot see Yamada very well, but maybe because of this, she was able to convey the feelings she was hiding all this time in her heart. Now she doesn't have any regrets. Yamada thanks her for liking him, but he apologizes because he cannot return her feelings. Tsubaki knew it, but she is at least glad he listened to her till the very end. She bids him goodbye, however, she ends up bumping into the vending machine. Yamada requests her to let him drop her home, but Tsubaki says she will be fine, after all, she is not weak. Even though Tsubaki said this, but the truth is, rejection is painful. On the other side, Akane, after getting ready, meets up with her guild members for dinner. She is a bit surprised to see Yamada is not here, but Ehita assures her he will come later. Today Kamota is treating them to dinner in a newly opened restaurant by his friend. Everyone is excited, and especially Runa, because it's a very expensive one. While Kamota is meeting his friends, Akane asks Ehita if Yamada's studies are going well, because she saw him pretty down the other day. Ehita assures her that studies aren't even on the list of his worries because he is too good at them. Hearing this, Akane wonders what could be the reason then. Soon the dinner begins, and the moment Akane eats the meat, it's so good that it melts right in her mouth. Soon, other dishes also come that are too very expensive and incredibly tasty. Everyone is enjoying their time, eating and drinking. Shortly after, Yamada arrives. Runa in a panic tells him to beware of Akane because she is not in her right mind. Yamada doesn't understand what Runa means until he sees Akane, who is totally wasted. Because the expensive juice was so good, she ended up drinking too much of it, and started acting weirdly after it. Runa tells Yamada now he has to take care of her. Kamota tells Yamada to first eat dinner, he will book a taxi for Akane later. But Yamada says he doesn't mind dropping her off. First, he gets some water from the vending machine for Akane. With it, she finally gets back to her senses and starts asking what she is doing here. Yamada explains to her what happened, and Akane apologizes for troubling him yet again. Yamada says it's totally fine. But for now, it's gotten late, so he is going to drop her home. Akane says she can go home by herself, but Yamada refuses. Because there are too many drunk people, it's not safe for a woman to go alone. He grabs her hand and walks home. But soon after, Akane's heel gets stuck. She tries pulling it out but isn't able to, so Yamada helps her. Akane looks at him and wonders why he is so kind to someone like her. After pulling it out, Yamada again holds her hand and walks home. Upon arriving, he bids her goodbye and is about to leave, when Akane suddenly asks him if he likes her. Akane is freaking out. But the way Yamada has been acting lately, it gave her this vibe. She apologizes to him for asking such an absurd question, but Yamada smiles and replies, "So I am finally busted." Akane is in disbelief. She tells him he probably doesn't understand what she meant, but Yamada confesses his love to her. He tells her he doesn't mind if she forgets by the next morning, because he will again confess to her until she remembers it. Akane gets emotional. After being dumped, and starting to hate herself for not being able to understand what was her mistake, she asks if he really wants to love someone like her. Yamada tightly hugs her, and once again confesses, "I love you, Akane." If you enjoyed the recap, please consider liking and subscribing this channel. Have a wonderful day ahead.